And now we're delighted to be joined over the telephone by our guest, Dr. Mohammad Roshdy, the economic expert. Dr. Mohammad, a very good afternoon to you, sir.
Hello.
Hi, doctor. Thank you very much for joining us this
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Doctor, of course, we just saw, the address by the Prime Minister who stressed that the economic reforms...
Excuse me, the voice is not clear yet.
Dr. Mohammad?
Yes?
Can you hear me now, sir?
Yes.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. I was going to ask you, Doctor, we've seen the Prime Minister discussing the economic reforms and the economic reform program that Egypt has undertaken and how it really helped the country in managing and overcoming the coronavirus pandemic consequences and crises that followed suit. How do you see the Egyptian economic reform program, working in this regard, sir?
Actually, first of all, I would like to say good evening to you and our audience, and I would like to thank the program team for today's invitation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I would like to start with the famous quote for American author Earl Michael Angel. All you need is a plan, the roadmap, and the courage to pass to your destination. Actually, Egypt is doing a great job, despite the fact of COVID-19 pandemic and the Ukrainian and Russian war. All of those things that hypothetically, actually, they reflected on the entire global economy and also the developed countries' economies. Despite this fact, Egypt achieved GDP growth, one of the highest GDP growth during the pandemic. And at the first quarter this year, Egypt reached GDP growth about 9%, as far as I recall.
Yes.
This is the highest GDP growth 20 years ago. In the last 20 years, as far as I recall, and this was a great achievement. And actually, the government is doing a great job to have a contingency plan to have a contingency plan to face the global crisis, despite the fact the increase in living costs, the increase of oil prices, and the increase of wheat prices.
Yes.
I believe that the Prime Minister Madboudi yesterday is witness on signing a number of investment documents and agreements on the sidelines of the Islamic Development Bank Group ISDB meeting in Sharm el-Sheikh. One of those things to cope with our ambitious plan to attract 40 billion investments from private sector. Actually, this is the initiative that the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi ordered the government to set a program for the private sector participation in state-owned assets with a target of, as far as I recall, 10 billion annually for 4 years. Actually, this is aligned with his vision, the presidential leadership vision, that the government, to order the government to list army-owned enterprises on the Egyptian stock exchange before year-end, and to start selling stakes in some state-owned companies in the stock market. In addition to this, aligned also with our ambitious plan to reach 100 billion annual exports, $100 billion annual exports in the next 3 years by maximizing the industrial sector capabilities.
Indeed. Doctor, let me ask you, there's lots of interest and incentives by the Egyptian government to encourage investment in Egypt, whether foreign direct investments or investment by foreigners or even by Egyptian investors. How important was this and what was its greatest impact with regards to the success and the growth of the Egyptian economy despite the global challenges?
Actually, I would like to highlight that the presidential leadership and all sectors in the government and public sector and private sector, for the first time, they working in parallel, and also there is strategic alliances between the government and the private sector to achieve the strategic goals for the country, which is the first one to have 40 billion FDR during the forthcoming years, in addition to the ambitious plan for reaching to reach $100 billion in the coming 3 years.
Yes.
And this is started by doing a great job in terms of mega projects and the infrastructure. I believe that anyone can see easily the amazing job that the government is doing in terms of the infrastructure, the transportation, the new cities. As far as I can just, for example, I can list one of them, the Middle East large private medical city, Daba nuclear power plant project, which costs, as far as I recall, 29 billion, in addition to the SCP, which is concentrated solar power plants, and in addition to the entertainment district, which will cost around, as far as I recall, 20 billion, in addition to a lot of transportations that I believe that you can easily, one of them, the spring train, you can reach to Upper Egypt in Aswan like 2 hours, and this will have a great impact on us. This is in addition to one of the most crucial things that I told you and our audience during this question, replying on this question, that the government is working in parallel. The first thing, which is the infrastructure, and the second thing, which is the new investment law. Then this is one of the crucial things that will possibly impact us to bring FDI. And by the way, I would like to just to tell our audience, to share with our audience that we are being the fruits of that our competitiveness ranking jumped, as far as I recall, 20 rank in the global competitiveness. If I would like to simplify it or elaborate more for our audience, this means that our country is one of the most attractive country for FDI, and it has a great potential. I can summarize for our audience the most important things in the new law. The new law guarantees a number of protection for international investors to encourage new development in Egypt. Foreign investors will receive the same treatment under the law as Egyptian nationals. Can you imagine? In a lot of countries, this is not happening.
Yes, they're treated as Egyptians, under the law,
In addition to, foreign investors may now be generated preferential treatment with approval from the Council of Ministers. Investment will not be governed by arbitrary procedures or discriminatory decisions. Investment project will not be nationalized. No administrative authority can revoke or suspend the investment project license without proper warning. Can you imagine that by those tiny things we are sending a positive signal to the global community that Egypt is on the right track, and you can easily invest in Egypt and you can guarantee your money. This is an addition of a lot of things that foreign investors are guaranteed residence in Egypt during the term of projects. Also, investors have the right to transfer their profits abroad. And this is one of the crucial things in a lot of developing countries. A lot of investors, they are a little bit afraid. They couldn't return back that profit to their mother country. The new investment law emphasizing on that. And anytime you would like to transfer your profit, you can do it easily and with the same currency. Also, in addition to investor projects may include up to 10% foreign employees and up to 20% for investment companies. Foreign employees of investment companies have the right to transfer their compensation abroad. This is a positive signal, by the way, to the global community that
Absolutely.
Egypt is on the right track, and this is, by the way, reflected on on a lot of global rating agencies and global community. They are rating us in a positive way, and they are saying loudly that Egypt is a good investment destination for any investor that he would like to get high return and safe return, in addition to the guarantee to return back your profit and your money to your mother country. This is an addition to new features of the investment law, which is a unified approval. You can get the unified approval, the golden license that the Prime Minister 2 weeks ago just announced about it. Investor services, the one window.
Yes, actually, that leads me to my next question, Doctor. I was going to ask you about, one-stop shops or one-window stops, like they say. The Egyptian government has really gone through a process of digital transformation, which has really simplified procedures and made Egypt more attractive to attracting investors. How do you see this digital transformation of the Egyptian government and easing of procedures in this regard, Doctor?
Actually, digital transformation is one of the most trending topics or hot topics. It's not in Egypt, it's globally. And I would like to start talking about this topic with one of the famous quotes for Heraclitus, this philosopher. He said that the only constant in the life is a change. But nothing is stable, everything is a change, and nowadays we are in the era or the duration of the global digital transformation. This global transformation, I can't say it loudly, it has its opportunities and threats. We can say it loudly like the SWOT analysis, everything, SWOT analysis, which is strengths and weakness and opportunities and threats. The brilliant minds or people that can find from the weak points, they can invert it into strength, and from the threats, they can find opportunities. And I believe one of the most important things nowadays, the digital transformation. And by the way, one of my American friends told me one of the jokes that was spread after the pandemic. Who is leading the digital transformation in your company? He told me the choices: the CEO, the COO, or COVID-19. The choice was COVID-19, actually. COVID-19, in my humble opinion, it speed up the process of digital transformation.
Yes,
and through the digital transformation, and by applying the concept of one window in GAFI, actually General Authority for Investment, you can apply as Prime Minister Dr. Madbouli announced 2 weeks ago, as far as I recall. You can just establish your company through a notification, through the digital era, and they will authenticate everything, and this will possibly help to speed up the process.
Absolutely.
And by digital transformation, we can, for any company, can reduce the cost.
Yes.
Can create more jobs for people, and we can work for a lot of people. They can have an additional income as they can work virtually. They can work home, actually. In addition to a lot of things that will positively reflect on our GDP growth.
Yes, absolutely.
And the challenge, in my humble opinion, will be at the population of people. We have to learn the new digital skills to help us to keep our jobs and get more money from it. The competition in the coming years will be globally. You can work, if you are an American guy, you can work
Yes,
for
you need
Egypt.
to
If
keep
you're
up
an
with the
Egyptian
times,
guy,
absolutely.
you can be located in Egypt and work for America. It's a matter of the skills that you have and the things that you can add to the company.
Right, right. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Dr. Mohammad Roshdy, our economic expert. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and your insight. Ladies and gentlemen, short break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.